At an upscale jewelry store in Riverton, a black teenager happily searches for the perfect gift for his little sister. But the moment he steps inside, the joy is abruptly interrupted by the suspicion of the store clerk, and when he accidentally drops a bracelet, her suspicion turns into baseless accusations. Just minutes later, the police arrive, blindly believing her statement, and handcuff him. But what they don't know is that this boy has a powerful ally. His mother and she is about to turn the situation around in a way none of them ever expected. Before dive into the story, please subscribe our channel and don't forget to press the like button. So, I step into the store and everything I've been dreaming of for the last week vanishes in an instant. The bell above the door jingles, signaling my arrival, and the smell of polished wood, expensive perfume, and velvet cushions fills the air. The soft hum of classical music floats over the room, making everything feel oddly still, like a museum. This is the moment, I think. This is where I get it right. A small, sharp breath escapes me. A gold bracelet sits on the counter just ahead. An elegant piece, simple yet somehow breathtaking in its understated beauty. It could be perfect for Alana, my sister. I can already see her face, eyes wide, smile pulling at her cheeks as she holds it up to the light, her tiny hands cradling the gift with awe. I'm here not for myself, but for her. This is for Alana. I'll make it happen. But then, I feel it, the weight of eyes on me, a sharp glance, the kind that makes your skin crawl, like you're a suspect even though you don't know the crime. I glance sideways and my pulse spikes. The woman behind the counter, her eyes narrow, almost imperceptibly, but it's enough to make my heart skip. It's like she's watching me, studying me. Every movement, every second I linger, seems to make her more uneasy. I force myself to breathe slowly. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just a kid, just a brother trying to get a gift. Why does it feel like I'm being sized up, like I'm some kind of threat? I walk toward the bracelet, my hands moving stiffly, like they don't belong to me. But before I can even touch it, the woman shifts. I wouldn't touch that, she says, voice cold, cutting through the air like a blade. I stop. She's looking at me now, fully. Eyes narrowed, lips tight, face drawn into a mask of suspicion. The silence stretches. I can feel the weight of her gaze on my every movement, every shift of my feet, every step toward that counter. It's too much. Can I help you? She asks, though it's not an offer. It's a challenge, like she's daring me to do something. My throat tightens. I don't know why I'm getting this feeling, but the tension in her voice, her posture, makes everything in me want to leave, to turn and walk right out that door. But I don't. Instead, I straighten up, put on my best smile. I'm just looking for a gift for my sister. Her eyes flick down to my hands. I freeze. I don't know why, but I can't stop myself. The bracelet catches on my fingers. I've barely touched it when it slips from my hand, crashing to the floor with a sickening clink. The sound echoes in the store. My heart races. I kneel down, reaching for it, but before I can even pick it up, the woman is already there, moving fast, too fast. Her eyes are sharp, accusing. Did you just... She begins, voice trembling with something like fear. You can't just drop things here. Sorry, I say quickly, grabbing the bracelet and standing up. I hold it out, trying to steady my shaking hands. I didn't mean to. She cuts me off. Number, I'm afraid you'll have to leave, she snaps. And there's a coldness in her voice now that wasn't there before. I blink. This isn't happening. I'm really sorry, I say again, but she doesn't even look at me. She's already picking up the phone from beneath the counter, dialing. I don't know if she's calling security or if she's really just calling the cops. I don't even know if I'm being accused of stealing something, but the way her eyes are on me, like I've just committed some unforgivable crime, has my mind spiraling into panic. I don't know what to do. Before I can even decide whether to leave or just stand there, the door opens again. Two officers step inside, looking around with professional disinterest. Then, like clockwork, their eyes fall on me, and the temperature in the room shifts. The woman, her voice now shaking, but somehow harder, points toward me. That one, she says. He dropped the bracelet. The officers glance at each other, then back at me. The room feels smaller. A cold sweat breaks out on my back. Sir, one of them says, stepping forward, we need to have a word. I open my mouth to explain, to tell them that I didn't mean anything, that I'm not here to cause trouble, but no words come out. I can't speak. They reach for me, their hands cold and forceful, and my stomach drops. I feel it. The handcuffs snap around my wrists, tight and unforgiving. What? What are you doing? I stammer. My heart is in my throat. One officer doesn't answer. The other just shakes his head, a look of disgust on his face. You're under arrest for suspicion of theft. A jagged breath fills my lungs. The world is tilting, everything spinning too fast. But then, as they start to push me toward the door, I hear it. The door opens again, and a voice, sharp, commanding, like thunder cracking the sky, cuts through the tension. No, the voice says, clear and fierce. You will not take my son anywhere. My mother. The moment the cuffs click around my wrists, everything starts to feel unreal. The noise of the store fades, muffled like I'm underwater. My chest tightens as the cool metal bites into my skin. I want to scream. I want to push through the crowd, grab the officers by the collar, and demand to know why they're doing this. But all that comes out is a panicked, shallow breath. The woman behind the counter stands like a statue. She doesn't even flinch. Her lips are tight, and her gaze cuts straight through me, colder than the handcuffs. She's not scared, not in the least. It's like she knows something I don't, something that makes me the villain in a story I didn't even realize was being written. I'm barely aware of the officers guiding me toward the door. Their hands grip my arms firmly, too tightly, as if I might try to escape or fight back, though there's no fight left in me. Not yet. My body moves on autopilot, and my mind is a whirlwind of confusion. What just happened? One minute I was looking for a gift for my sister. The next I'm being dragged out of a high-end jewelry store like some kind of criminal. My heart pounds in my chest as I try to process the situation, but the edges of it all blur together. The voice I'd been dreading cuts through the haze. Stop. I freeze. My mother's voice. Firm, authoritative. And that tone I've heard thousands of times, the one that doesn't take no for an answer. She's here. I turn my head, my breath quickening. She's standing in the doorway, her back straight and her hands held firmly at her sides. Her eyes are locked on me, but her attention is fixed on the officers, assessing them with the sharp precision of someone who has spent her life fighting battles no one else even knows exist. The officers hesitate, their eyes flicking to each other. For a split second, I almost think they might back down. But the one closest to me, he's taller, broad-shouldered, and his face is drawn tight with skepticism, steps forward, his voice dismissive. Ma'am, we're just following protocol. And I'm telling you that you're making a mistake, she says, her voice colder than I've ever heard it before. The kind of cold that doesn't leave room for argument. You're not taking my son anywhere. I want to speak, to say something, but my throat feels tight. She's here. She's here. But I'm still trapped in this nightmare, handcuffed and helpless. The woman behind the counter doesn't move, but I can see her eyes darting between my mother and the officers, her face hardening, almost smug. It feels like the tension is crawling under my skin, making every second feel unbearable. The officer holding my arm looks back at her, a faint sneer tugging at his lips. We'll see about that. Before he can say anything else, my mom steps forward, her eyes narrowing. I'm not asking, I'm telling you. Take the cuffs off. There's something in her voice, something beyond just authority. It's a promise, a warning, the kind of warning that makes people think twice. For a moment, the officer falters. His hand loosens on my arm, but he's still holding on to me, as though he's waiting for someone else to make the call. But before anything else can happen, my mom turns to me. Are you okay? She asks quietly, her gaze searching mine. Her expression softens just a fraction, and for a moment, I almost forget where we are. But then I remember the cuffs, the officers, the woman. I nod, though I can feel my heart pounding in my chest like it's about to explode. I can't look at my mom and tell her I'm not okay. I don't even know what okay means anymore. Let's get you out of here, she says, her voice steady. And just like that, I feel the pressure in my chest ease, even if only a little. She turns to the officer, and the air between them crackles with tension. Take the cuffs off. She stresses every word like it's a command, and I swear I see a flicker of uncertainty in the officer's eyes. He takes a step back, looking to his partner, who still seems locked in a state of hesitation. My mom doesn't give them time to rethink it. She strides forward and yanks the key from his belt with a swift motion, unlocking the cuffs before they even have the chance to respond. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Thank you, I mutter, but my voice sounds hollow, even to me. It's barely a whisper. She doesn't look at me. Instead, her eyes never leave the officers, cold and unwavering. The tension in the room is palpable, like something is about to break. But then, without another word, she turns to me. Come on, we're leaving. I nod, barely processing her words. She walks ahead, her heels clicking sharply against the polished floor, and I follow like a shadow. I don't know what else to do. It feels like I'm walking through a fog, each step heavier than the last, each breath harder to take. We don't speak until we're outside, the door closing behind us with a soft thud. The cool night air hits me in the face, and for a moment, it's like I can breathe again. Mom, I start, my voice hoarse, trying to keep the panic at bay. What just happened? Why would they do that? I didn't do anything wrong. She stops walking and turns to face me. There's something fierce in her gaze, but there's also a flicker of something else, something more private. For a moment, I catch a glimpse of her, the woman I've never really seen until now. Not just my mother, not just the person who fixes everything, but a person who's been carrying something heavy for a long time. I know, she says quietly, her voice trembling just the tiniest bit. I know you didn't, but we'll figure this out. I open my mouth to ask what she means, but the words don't come. Something about her expression tells me that what just happened isn't the end of it. It's only the beginning. The mystery is growing. Why was I targeted? Why was I treated like a criminal when I wasn't doing anything wrong? There's a hollow feeling in my chest now, the kind you get when you know something isn't right, but you don't know what it is. I want answers. I need answers. But the more I think about it, the more the questions just grow. How did the clerk know so quickly to accuse me? Why were the officers so quick to believe her? I'm starting to feel like there's something bigger at play, something I don't understand yet. That night after the incident at the store, I stay silent in the car as my mom drives. The streetlights flicker by like a blur, and I watch them, each one casting a fleeting shadow on my face. But none of them seem to settle. I want to say something, but I don't know what. My thoughts are scattered, pieces of the puzzle falling just out of reach. What happened in there, Mom? I finally ask, my voice cracking. Why did she accuse me? I didn't do anything wrong. The weight of the question hangs in the air, and I can feel my hands beginning to shake. My mom doesn't answer at first. She keeps her eyes on the road, her face a mask of concentration. But I can tell she's thinking, weighing something heavy in her mind. When she finally speaks, her voice is low, like she's trying to keep a secret. I don't know why they did it, she says, her words deliberate, like she's choosing them carefully. But I've seen that look before. She pauses, glancing at me. I've had that look turned on me. My stomach sinks, and suddenly I feel cold all over again. What does she mean? What's she not telling me? The mystery thickens, and the unease begins to crawl under my skin. The drive home is agonizingly quiet. My mom's hands are tightly gripping the steering wheel, her knuckles white, her jaw clenched so hard it's like she's trying to hold back some storm brewing inside her. Every few seconds, I steal glances at her, trying to gauge what's going on in her head. But her face is unreadable. It's like I'm talking to a wall, an impenetrable, cold wall. Mom, I start, but I don't even know what to ask anymore. What do you say when everything you thought you understood about the world just shatters? I can feel the weight of the events pressing down on me. My chest feels tight, like I'm suffocating. I've been accused of something I didn't do, handcuffed, dragged out of the store. I barely even know why. And now this eerie silence between us, as though we're both carrying something too heavy to talk about. She doesn't respond. Instead, she turns into our driveway, parking the car with mechanical precision. She's the one in control, as usual. Always has been. But as she puts the car in park, her shoulders drop, and for the first time tonight, she exhales. It's almost imperceptible, but I catch it. It's like she's been holding her breath the entire time. I want to ask again, what happened in there? What is going on? But something in my gut tells me that she's not ready to tell me the whole truth. Not yet. We sit there for a long moment, the car engine humming softly, and then my mom speaks. They're not who they seem to be. Her words land like a punch to the gut. I blink at her, confused, trying to make sense of what she's saying. What? I manage to whisper. The officers, she continues, her voice low but deadly serious. They're not just some random cops. They're connected. I sit back in my seat, trying to process what she's saying. What do you mean connected? To who? To what? Mom, I say, my voice shaking. What are you talking about? She looks over at me, her eyes full of something I don't understand. A kind of pain, maybe. And maybe something else. Something darker. Everything that's happening right now, it's not by chance. The store, the clerk, the officers, they're all part of something much bigger than you or me, Eli. Something I've been trying to protect you from for years. I swallow hard, my throat dry. What is she saying? I open my mouth to speak, but no words come out. My head spins and I feel like the ground beneath me is crumbling. But my mom doesn't give me a chance to ask more questions. She turns off the engine and opens the car door. We'll talk about this inside, she says, her tone final. I'm not going to explain it all to you in a car. You need to understand what's going on, but you're not going to like it. Come inside. The words hang heavy in the air, and I follow her numbly, the night air cool against my skin. Inside, the house feels suffocatingly quiet. She leads me into the kitchen, where we sit at the table, the lights overhead casting long shadows across the room. It's a place I've always found comfort in, until now. For the first time, my mom seems small, vulnerable. Something about her posture, something in the way she looks at me, makes my stomach churn. I need you to listen to me, Eli, she says, voice barely above a whisper. Everything you thought you knew about your life, your family, it's a lie. I shake my head, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. A lie? What do you mean? What are you talking about? I try to laugh it off, but it's hollow. The fear gnaws at my insides, turning my thoughts in circles. I didn't want you to know, she continues, her hands trembling just slightly as she clasps them together. But it's time. You need to know who you are, Eli, and who we are. There's a long pause, a heavy silence that presses down on me. My heart pounds, my pulse quickening. Everything is spinning out of control, and I can't even find the ground to stand on. Mom, please, I choke out, the panic rising in my chest. What is this? What do you mean who we are? She looks at me then, and for the first time, I see it. The weight of the secrets, the years of lies she's been carrying. I don't know if she's been holding this in for days or years, but it's clear now that she's finally ready to shatter it all. You're not just some regular kid, Eli, she says softly, the words cutting through me like a blade. You're part of something that goes back generations. You come from a bloodline that's been targeted for decades. A bloodline that those people back at the store knew exactly who you were. They've been watching you, watching us, and they want to make sure we never rise above them. I stare at her, my mind struggling to catch up. This can't be real. It's all too much. My mother isn't just telling me about some bad situation. She's telling me about a legacy, a lineage, a family that's been running from something for a long time. But why didn't you tell me this? I demand, my voice shaking. Why didn't you say anything before? She closes her eyes, her face creasing with regret. Because I didn't want you involved in this. I wanted to protect you, Eli. I thought if I could keep you safe, if I could shield you from everything, you could have a normal life, a life without this constant fear. The words don't make sense. They swirl around me like smoke, making it harder to breathe. How could I have lived my whole life without knowing any of this? How could she have kept this from me? A sick realization starts to creep up on me. Was I always just a pawn in a game I didn't even know was being played? You mean to tell me that everything I've been doing, everything I've believed about my life, it's all been a lie? My voice breaks, and I'm not sure if it's anger or fear that's fueling me, but I can't help myself. You're telling me that the cops, that the clerk, they weren't just some random people? They knew what I was, what we were. My mom's gaze doesn't waver. Her silence is enough of an answer. Suddenly, it all clicks into place. The way the store clerk reacted so quickly, the way the officers didn't even question it when they were called, the look of disdain, like I was some kind of threat before I even said a word. It wasn't about the bracelet, it was about me. I'm not just some regular kid, I'm a target, and everything I've known, everything I've trusted, has just been ripped from me. I stand up from the table, my legs unsteady beneath me. Everything feels so heavy. The walls are closing in, the world shrinking around me as I struggle to breathe. I don't even know who I am anymore, I whisper, my voice barely audible. My mom rises to her feet, her hands outstretched toward me, but I step back. I need to understand this, Mom, I say, the words sharper now, harder. I need to know why this is happening. Why did you keep this from me? Why didn't you tell me before? Her eyes fill with something I can't describe, something that looks like guilt, maybe. She doesn't answer. Instead, she looks at me like she's just realized something. You're right, she says quietly. You need to know everything. And it's time you did. I don't know if I'm ready for what she's about to tell me, but I know one thing for sure. There's no turning back now. The weight of everything is pressing down on me. I've never felt more exposed, more vulnerable, more powerless. The walls of our house feel like they're closing in, the air thick and suffocating. I've been running from this moment my entire life, but I can't hide anymore. I can't keep pretending that the world I know is anything but a lie. The truth has already begun to unravel around me, and now I'm standing on the edge of something I don't know how to face. You're telling me that I'm a part of something bigger? My voice cracks as I say the words. It feels surreal, like this is a nightmare I can't wake up from. That I've been a part of it all along? I can see it in my mom's eyes. She's holding something back. There's something more she's not telling me, something deeper than the lies I've already uncovered. It's the way she's looking at me now, like I'm the last person she ever wanted to face this truth with. Eli, she says, and her voice is softer now, as though she's trying to keep me from breaking. I didn't want to tell you this. I didn't want you to know this world. But it's time, and you're in danger. We're in danger. My hands shake, my pulse racing as I process the weight of her words. What are you talking about? Who's after us? Who wants to hurt us? I've spent my whole life trying to protect you from the truth, Eli. But the truth is, they are closer than you think. The people who have been watching us, they're already in our lives. They're embedded, and they know exactly who you are, who we are. I don't know what's worse, her telling me this now, or the fact that I've been walking around completely unaware, thinking I was just another kid with normal problems. Who are they? I demand, my voice louder now, shaking with frustration. Why didn't you ever tell me? Why didn't you warn me sooner? Her gaze drops to the floor. Because I was trying to protect you. I was trying to give you a life that was yours, not this. This what? What's this? She stands there, her expression stricken, as if she's realizing for the first time that her lies are no longer keeping me safe. They're just suffocating me. Eli, you're part of the bloodline, the ancient line of people who've been chosen, marked for a purpose. And that purpose has made us targets for centuries. The people you saw at the store, the cops, the clerk, they're part of a secret organization. Her voice falters and she takes a shaky breath. They've been hunting us for years, Eli, trying to eliminate us. My world tilts sideways like the floor beneath me is giving way. Bloodline? Chosen? I'm trying to understand, but nothing makes sense. My head is spinning, and I feel like I might fall to my knees. They're after me? They've been after us for all this time, I ask, my voice thick with disbelief. She nods. Yes, but there's more, Eli. They want you. You're the key. You're the one they need to complete whatever they're planning, and you're the one who's going to stop it. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I'm the key? I'm the one who's going to stop it? I didn't ask for this, I shout, my hands balled into fists at my sides. I didn't ask for any of this. I can feel the panic clawing at my throat. I'm losing control, and the truth is flooding in too fast for me to process. The room feels smaller and the air is thin, suffocating. My legs wobble, and I have to grip the back of a chair to keep from falling. Eli, please! My mom steps forward, her hands trembling, her eyes filled with something I don't recognize. I've never seen her like this before, not once in my life. You don't understand, she whispers. You were born for this. You were meant to stop them. I want to scream. I want to collapse and let the truth swallow me whole, because I can't handle it. I don't know how to fight something this big, this impossible. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be fighting. I'm not ready for this, I shout, my voice cracking under the weight of my emotions. I didn't ask to be part of any of this. I'm just a kid, a regular kid who wants a normal life. She reaches out, but I step back, my eyes brimming with hot tears. I can't look at her right now. I can't handle the pity in her gaze, the look of someone who's just realized they've dragged their child into a war they didn't choose. I never wanted this for you, she says, her voice breaking. I never wanted you to have to carry this burden. I tried to keep you safe. I tried to give you a life without this darkness. But the truth is, they'll come for you, Eli, whether you're ready or not. I back away from her, my heart racing, my mind whirling. There's a loud ringing in my ears, and all I can do is stare at her. The pain in her eyes is too much to bear. But what hurts more is the realization that she's right. They will come for me. They've been watching me this whole time. I've been walking through life blind, not knowing that there's a target on my back. I take another step back, my chest heaving, the weight of everything threatening to crush me. I can't do this. I don't even know who I am anymore. My mom steps forward again, her voice pleading. Eli, please. I know this is too much, but you can't turn away from it. You have to fight. But it's too late. The world is shifting, and everything I thought I knew is crumbling. The door slams open. We both turn toward the sound, and I freeze. A man stands in the doorway, tall, imposing, with a dark suit that doesn't belong in our small house. His eyes are cold, calculating, and there's a look of deep satisfaction on his face. Behind him, two more figures step forward, both of them wearing black, their faces hard and unreadable. Did you really think you could hide him? The man says, his voice low and smooth. Did you really think you could protect him forever? My heart stops. They're here. I want to run. I want to escape, but I don't know where to go. Don't know how to fight. My mom steps between me and them, her face hardening. You won't take him, she says, her voice shaking, but there's a fire in it. I won't let you. The man laughs darkly, and it makes my blood run cold. You've already lost, my dear. It's over. And then he turns to me. Eli, he says, his voice softer now, almost coaxing. You're coming with us, whether you like it or not. I feel the urge to run, to flee, but my legs won't move. It's like I'm trapped in place, paralyzed by the weight of what's happening. The truth has shattered me, and now it's too late to take it back. You don't understand, I say, my voice small and desperate. I'm not the one you want. I don't know anything about this bloodline. I don't know anything about the plans you have. The man steps closer, his smile widening. Oh, but you do. You just don't realize it yet. And that's when I know. Everything I feared, everything I've been running from, is right here in front of me. The truth is worse than I ever imagined. I take a deep breath, forcing my voice to steady. I'll never go with you. I'll never help you. His smile falters for a fraction of a second, but then it's back, sharper than before. You will, eventually. The moment stretches out, taut with tension, and I realize something. I may not be ready, but I can't keep running. I can't keep being afraid. I make a choice. I'll fight you, I say, my voice steadying. And in that moment, I realize that this is the moment I've been waiting for. I'm not just the son of a woman who's trying to protect me. I'm not just a kid who's been dragged into something bigger than himself. I am the key. I am the one who can stop them. And I will. It may be a long road. It may be the hardest thing I've ever done. But for the first time, I know who I am. And I'm ready to fight. The days that followed felt like a blur. The constant hum of dread in my chest. The constant wondering if today would be the day they'd come for me. It never stopped. But there was a strange comfort in it, too. After everything, after the violence, the lies, the half-buried truths, I had finally started to understand what it meant to be part of this, what it meant to be me. I never asked for any of this. I never wanted it. But now as I sit on the edge of my bed, my mom's words echoing in my mind, I can't pretend I'm the same person I was before. I can't ignore the responsibility that's been thrust on me, even though it feels too heavy to carry. We fought, we lost, we won. But in the end, everything was different. It's quiet, too quiet. I've spent the last few weeks hiding out in this house, staying low, trying to process what I've been through. My mom is the same as she's always been, distant, protective, yet somehow more broken than I've ever seen her. The same walls she's built for years are cracked now, filled with things neither of us are ready to confront. I'm no longer a child, not in the way I used to be. The weight of the bloodline, the truth of who I am, has changed me. It's changed my mother too, though I don't know if she can admit it yet. We survived, barely, but that doesn't feel like victory. It's late when I hear the knock at the door, soft, hesitant. I already know who it is before I open it. My mom's gaze meets mine across the room. There's no need for words. She doesn't say anything, doesn't stop me when I stand. There's a quiet acceptance in her eyes now. She's learned something through all of this too. She knows I'm ready, and maybe for the first time, she's ready to let me face it. I open the door. He stands there, the man from that night, the one who's haunted us all through this. He's taller than I remember, his suit sharp in the dim light, his face a mask of cold determination. But there's something different in his eyes now, something that wasn't there before. He looks at me for a long moment, and for the first time, I don't feel like I'm being hunted. I feel understood. "You've changed," he says, his voice quieter than usual. There's an odd softness to it, as if he's no longer seeing me as an enemy. "You're ready." I swallow hard, my throat dry. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if anyone can truly be ready for what's coming next. But the truth is, I can't run from it anymore. I can't hide in the shadows of my mother's protection. "You know where to find me when the time comes," he adds, stepping back, letting me take in his words. I nod, the weight of what he's saying settling on my shoulders. I don't know if I'm grateful for his understanding or terrified of what it means. But there's no escaping it. The door closes behind him with a finality that makes my stomach drop. I turn to my mom, my hands shaking, and I know she feels it too. The world is shifting beneath us, and we're caught in the middle of something too large to ignore. The next day, I find myself standing outside the same jewelry store, the one where it all started. The memories of that day come rushing back. The bracelets, the accusations, the way my world came crashing down. But now, standing here in the cold, the irony isn't lost on me. The store is just a building, a place. The fight, the battle I've inherited, it's bigger than this. I walk through the doors, my gaze steady now, unshaken. The clerk from that day isn't here. I don't even know if I want to see her again. I've learned to let go of the anger, but it's still there, simmering just beneath the surface. Instead, I look around, taking in the displays, the glass cases filled with things that used to seem so important. Now they feel insignificant. I'm not here for anything material. I'm here to claim what's mine, what's been mine all along. I step up to the counter, and the woman behind it glances at me, a small, polite smile on her face. I know she doesn't remember me. She wouldn't. Not after all that's happened. But I remember her. I remember everything. "I'm not here to buy anything," I say, my voice calm but firm. "I'm here to make sure nothing like that ever happens again." She blinks, unsure of how to respond, but I don't need her response. What I need is closure, not revenge, not justice, just closure. It's weeks later before I finally hear from the people who have been watching me, the ones who have been waiting for me to be ready, waiting for me to become the person I was meant to be. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they'll make me fight for their cause, or if they'll try to destroy me entirely. All I know is this. I've stepped into a world where there are no guarantees, a world where the rules aren't made for people like me, and I'm going to fight in it. I can't go back. I can't undo what's been done, and I can't pretend like it's all going to be okay, because it won't be. But I'll never stop fighting. I'll never stop looking for the truth, for my own place in this mess. And maybe, just maybe, I'll find a way to make peace with it all. As I walk back toward the house, I notice something out of the corner of my eye. A flicker of movement. Someone in the shadows. I don't stop. I don't turn around. I keep moving, because I know that no matter how much I want to pretend I'm free, I never will be. The game has only just begun.